All right, I gotta stop refilming a video like 3 times because, but what ends up happening is I have certain points I want to make, and then I rant and rave for a half hour, and I don't even get to my points. So let me just get straight to my points, and then I'll rant and rave as I'm getting through them. So um, now this video is going to be about what is I don't know what I'm going to call this video yet, but the purpose of it is what is what is the most important thing in life, and I'll tell you what it is. So it's like there's been this age-old question, why are we here? And really, when you really think about it, why are we here? And I'll tell you why we're here. And it took me, this is an answer. I've been searching my whole life for this answer. And this is what I came up with. Why are we here? We are here to learn. We're here to be tested. And we're here to evolve spiritually. Now, in this messed up society that we're raised in, they don't tell you that. They don't tell you that. And what they do is they tell you pretty much the opposite. You know, they make it seem like we're just here to get rich and fuck off and have fun. And no, that is not it. We are being tested. And so you also got to realize that the people who are really and truly in control, they know they know all about it. And they are the ones who are kind of in control of the game. They you think, oh, they just want money and power. Not the people who are really high up. They don't care about money and power. They know things that you don't know. Um, the If you want details, go on my Patreon. I'm gonna try not to push my Patreon every 5 minutes. But this is one of those videos where the details are on Patreon. But here's the thing: why I don't want to push my Patreon. My Patreon is not for everyone. My Patreon is for the people who are ready to learn this stuff. Anyways, so now you got to realize that the people who are in control, they're not doing it for money and power. They've had money and power for thousands of years. They've been in control for thousands of years. Now, the only reason they've been able to hold power for that long is because they don't do it out in the open. But here's the other thing: it's all a part of God's will. They're doing what they are put here to do, and what they are put here to do is to make this a hard test and to bring out the worst in everyone. So you got to realize that the politicians and celebrities and anyone you've ever heard of, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, if you've heard of them, they don't have that much power, but they're all just pawns. They're propped up in front of you for you to hate and for you to blame, and you know that's that's their they're being used. They want money and power, but here's the thing: they are a part of. They're on our team, really, but they've betrayed us for money and power to work for the other team, and I'm that's as much as I'm going into that. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is don't let them corrupt you because they're trying to. They're really trying to. They're trying to bring out the worst in you. Um, they raise us in school, and a lot of the things they're teaching in school is not what it seems like on the surface. So on the surface you think you're learning history and math and spelling and English. That's not what you're really learning in school. What you're really learning in school is to memorize someone else's fantasy and regurgitate it accurately. And you're learning to answer to authority and to be subservient and to accept punishment and to wake up at the crack of dawn and spend your whole day doing a bunch of tedious bullshit that you don't want to do. This is what you're really learning in school. You're being trained to be a slave. That's what school is. Now, they don't teach you that on the surface, but it's not like the teachers even know. The teachers think they're teaching and educating, and it's like it cracks me up how so many people and politicians are always like, "Oh, education is so important," and it's like, meanwhile, look at look at the damage that public school has done to our societies. You got everyone's confused. You got guys thinking they're girls, girls thinking they're guys. I have nothing against any of these people. I'm not. Do what you want to do, bro. You know what I mean? But if they can confuse you to the point where you don't even know what you are when you can look down and see for yourself. Like, you gotta hand it to them. They're pretty good at subverting and manipulating and twisting a motherfucker's mind up into a knot. You know what I mean? But it's like this is what public school does, and then they go to college. They pay to go to college. They go hundreds of thousands of dollars into debt to go to college, where they just continue warping their minds and screwing them up. And it's like, what do they get in return from it? They get a big debt, a bunch of regretful actions, banging, having a bunch of meaningless sex with a bunch of drunken morons. I mean, you know, it's all so corrupt. And I didn't realize these things until I was older. And another thing you got to realize about me is I've existed outside of this shit for so long, and I've figured out ways to make a living to where I've got plenty of leisure time to think of things. I mean, and another thing is I've lived outside for so long that I've become kind of in sync with nature in ways that a lot of people don't. So I get I've lived very differently. I've lived almost like the native, the Indians used to live in America. Like I've been living off the land in a lot of ways for a long time, and I've learned a lot of things. And so, I realized how just corrupt and insane society is for the most part. So, you know, every once in a while, I'll make a video about it, and I'll try to point some things out, and hopefully reach a few people because here's what really matters. Um, you're raised to think that success is money and fame and all those things are all frivolous bullshit. Money comes and goes. It's in a lot of ways, in my opinion, control is an illusion. You know what I mean? Everything you have can be swept out from under you very quickly. I'll just put it to you that way. And I'm not trying to scare people or anything like that. And here's the reverse to that: you can get it all back real quick too. So, it seems important, but it really isn't. And you wouldn't know that until you lose everything and build it back up and be like, oh, well, that was not what I thought it was going to be. You know what I mean? Money comes and goes. Now, if your whole focus on in life is to just gather and hoard money and possessions, I don't think you're going to be truly happy and truly at peace. Because in a lot of ways in this world we live in, what the best way to get ahead is by screwing everyone else over. I mean, it's the truth, man. Like I said, I used to, and it's amazing how a lot of people, you hate all these corrupt politicians and all of their lies and this and that, but a lot of people out there are doing exactly what those liars and politicians do. They're just doing it on a smaller scale for a smaller reward. I'll give you an example, and I'm not trying to offend anyone. I've done it myself. So, and here's another thing: the older I've gotten, and the further away from this system that I've existed, the less corruptible I've become. So I'm not trying to preach from some pedestal and make it seem like I am better than everyone, because the only reason I see things this way is because I've lived the life I lived. But I can tell you one thing: I used to be just as open to corruption and bullshitting as a lot of other people. Maybe not as open as some, but I can tell you one thing: when I was first doing stand-up comedy, that was the closest I ever came to really becoming corrupt. And the entertainment industry will do it to you. I tell you what. So, around 2008, 2009, 2010, I decided to I wanted to be rich and famous, and stand-up comedy was my route to it. And for a while there, I was an arrogant, rude, selfish little prick, which is against my nature. I've never really been that way. Um, but it got to the point where, and I've always been politically, I've always kind of um, done my own thing. I was, you know, I'll put it to you this way. That was the closest I ever came when I was doing stand up to switching my beliefs to what was going to get me money and power. You know what I mean? I came real close, and I even made some Facebook status updates around this time that were kind of pushing the narrative that the entertainment industry wanted pushed, and it didn't feel right at all. And so I didn't do it much. And I'm not saying that's why I didn't succeed at stand up. I didn't succeed at stand up because I wasn't I wasn't ready for success at that point. It's a long, long story. Watch Why I Was Homeless, my videos, if you want a better explanation. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm grateful that I didn't succeed back then because I, I'm not saying I would have sold my soul, but I would have been willing to say and do some things that are against my spiritual beliefs to get money and power and fame. I wanted money and power and fame back then. Now I want money, I want power. I don't necessarily want fame. But I also understand power corrupts. So I'm not even sure I want power, to be honest. Um, but so, and here's another thing you got to realize. They make it seem like when they, from the time we're kids, we're being taught in a lot of subtle ways that God is not real. Religious people are just kind of, country bumpkins who they believe in superstitions and this and that. And we can explain everything with evolution. And here's the thing. I believe in evolution. 100% I believe in evolution. I also believe in God. 100%. Science and religion are not at odds. They're the same thing. The, the person who discovered the Big Bang Theory was a Catholic. I think he was a Catholic priest. Lemire, something. He discovered the Big Bang. Look it up yourself. So, you know, this is one of the things that bothers me about modern people. It's like modern people think like, oh, well, I can't believe in evolution and God. Of course you can. It's like just because you believe in God doesn't mean that you believe that God is some person floating in the sky who snapped his fingers and created Earth. I mean, why would God work in an illogical way? Why wouldn't God work with science? I mean, if you study nature and if you pay attention to nature and you watch animal documentaries, you'll see God all over the place. There is an intelligence behind nature that is beyond man's intelligence. Here's an example. Look at animal camouflage. How would the animal know this is the colors I need to camouflage? It that requires intelligence. Where does that intelligence come from? Look at a stick bug. It's disguised as a stick. Do you think that this bug woke up 1,000 years ago and said, "Let me look like a stick"? You know what I mean? What do I got to do to look like a stick? No, it's there's an intelligence behind evolution. It's intelligence. I mean, just watch any animal documentary, and if it's made well and it's made by the right people, you're going to see God all over nature. Um, Everything man creates is nothing compared to the complexity and balance. Nature is perfect. They say nothing is perfect. Nature is perfect. Everything works together in this ecosystem. Everything has its place. Everything has its purpose. It is perfection. So um, they teach us that, oh, well, no, it's all just an accident. There just happened to be the right conditions, and life just sprouted up. Yeah, lucky us. Let me tell you something. From the information that I've stumbled into, from what I've heard, go on my Patreon if you want details. Life is not uncommon throughout the universe. As a matter of fact, I heard that life exists on almost every planet. It's just that it's not all in the same dimension. It's complicated shit, and it's deeper than I want to get in this video. So, um, but you can look at examples on Earth. There's parts of the world in deepest parts of the ocean where there's thermal vents. So, the magma coming up out of the earth and the heat coming up out of the deepest parts of the earth. The water in these parts of the ocean down at the bottom in some parts, it's literally like boiling. And here's the thing. There's there's crustaceans and shrimp and fish and animals that live in boiling water. They have evolved to live in in environments that we would think by logic that life couldn't exist there. They say, you know, the only reason life exists on Earth is because the conditions are perfect for, you know, liquid water and breathable oxygen and this and that. But here's the thing: life exists in parts of the Earth where the environment is nothing like that. So, what makes you think that life can evolve on other planets in other places that are nothing like Earth? Because life it's part of evolution, and it happens all over the universe. I'm very curious to see life from another planet. I think it would be something similar to, like, marsupials in Australia, where they're mammals, but they're so different than mammals in other parts of the world because Australia evolved separate. So you look at marsupials like koalas and kangaroos and wallabies, and if you ever heard of a Tasmanian tiger, these are all marsupials. They're kind of like mammals, but they're different. So, or you even look at, like, the ocean, the animals that evolve in the ocean. They're almost like aliens in a lot of ways. But anyways, that's off topic. So, you know, they teach us that evolution is just this accident, and life just happened to sprout by accident. By accident. The reason they teach you that is because they want you to think that there is no God. There's no repercussions for our actions. There's no point in doing what's right because it's all an accident anyway. But you know, here's the thing: if you watch any video on evolution, and they all do the same thing, they breeze over the part where the particles turn into it's inanimate, dead particles turn into living, animated, organic cells. They all breeze right over that part. It's just, oh, it was just primordial soup, and the microscopic particles turned into cells, basically, and they just breeze right over that part, but they never explain it. They never explain how the inanimate, dead matter became organic, living matter, which acts independently and lives on its own. They never explain that part. If there's any biologists or scientists watching this video, feel free to explain it to me in the comments. Now, I have my own theories I've come up with, but I'm not even gonna get into that in this video. Maybe in another one. Um, but you know, I want to hear your explanation. I want to hear the educated, sophisticated. Um, I want to hear what they taught y'all, because every video I've seen and every person I've seen try to explain it, even in high school when they're trying to teach it to us, they all breeze over that part as if it's nothing, as if you know dead inanimate objects can just turn into living things. It's like, if it's that simple and it's that easy to explain, why can't they reproduce it? Why can't you show me in a lab, show me an inanimate dead particle, turn that into a cell. I want to see that. Show it to me. If if there's no God and this is all an accident and it's just this big petri dish, this big science experiment, and you guys really understand it, why can't you reproduce it? I'll tell you why they can't reproduce it, because they don't understand it. They don't know shit. So, um, I guess that's the end of this video. It's 20 minutes. That's pretty good. So, my last couple of videos were like 30, 40 minutes. I got to go do stand up tonight. I got to do the Patreon video tomorrow or Friday, probably both. It's gonna take me. Patreon video will be going up within the next couple of days. We gotta talk on Patreon and see if y'all want to go with what we've been doing with the raw books, or if y'all want to take a break from that. We'll see. We'll talk on Patreon. Anyways, so I appreciate every single one of you. I appreciate the subscribers, the likes, the comments, the tips, the super chats. I appreciate all of yous. Thanks for all the new subs. I got a bunch of new subs lately. Um, and yeah, if you got anything you want me to respond to, try to get it within the first 30 comments or so. Even if you want to talk shit to me, if you want me to see it, try to get it within the first 30. But yeah, appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you on the next one. Everybody have a good one.